Alright. I think that's got us up and going. Alright, this is my first live stream. We're going to make a very quick little short video showing you guys just how easy it is to put your computer together. And I got us a tripod to hold the phone now. So, no more annoying shaky cam, no more dealing with only having one hand and trying to hold the thing with the other hand. I've already got some standoffs installed that were pre-installed in this case a long time ago. I'm just going to check now to make sure they line up properly. And that looks good. And that looks good. This one actually does not look good. I'm going to take and yank that one out. It actually should be in the next spot over. Look at how close together these are. What's that? Actually, let's set that back in place and I'll eyeball it. Which, yes, that was in the right spot. Alright, let's check. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and, since I want as much airflow as I can get, I'm not putting the I/O shield in here. That'll remain in the box for the time being. So we set this down. And we line up the screw holes. I got the first one right there. Gonna take our screws. And we're gonna get the first thread starting there. But we don't want to tighten that all the way down just yet. Something that's important when you're putting in things is to make sure you're square. And to help get you square, it helps if you ain't got a whole bunch of screws tightened down. So once you get two of them in, that'll basically square you up with all the other holes, at which point you can then put your screws down. And there's a whole bunch of points all across in this particular motherboard. There's a screw point here, 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 right back in here, down in here, right there, and right there. I'm not going to populate all these because I don't even have enough standoffs from this really ancient case to do all that. Let's see, I don't even think there's one here, or maybe there is. Oh, there is. Okay. So we get to tighten that one down. The important ones to really get a spot in is near your GPU. You want to make sure the motherboard is firmly attached around the area where your GPU mounts, because that's where most of your stresses are going to come into play at. It really helps to have a magnetic screwdriver. If your screwdriver is not magnetic, most metal screwdrivers can, like this one, can actually just be run across a magnet several times, and that'll give them some level of magnetism to them. I think that's actually what I did with this one, if I remember right. It's been a while. Let's see, let's get this lined up right here. Okay. Got that one there. We got this one up in this corner. Tightens that one down. And let's see. I don't think I have a standoff in this location, but we're going to find out. No, I don't. Okay. So we're going to take that screw back out. Alright. And so that's the mounting of the motherboard. I already put the heatsink and everything on in a previous video. The next step is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and what did I do with that cable? Oh crap. Let's take that off. This is it. Next thing, you get your SATA cable, plug one end in to the motherboard. Any one of the SATA ports will really do. I'm not using the NVMe or M.2 right now, so anywhere over here works for that. I also cut this out for maximum ventilation. We're going to take the first GTX 1080 Ti, and this is the one I got from NVIDIA, and so I'm going to go ahead and mount that one into the lower slot of the 2 slot spacing on this. And just push it in there, and that'll just click into place. Oh, damn, I thought okay, actually I'm going to take that back out because I want to make one last modification to the case. I actually should have cut one more off of these guys, so I'm going to do that right quick. Show you just how easy it is with the right. Get in here and just give it a little twist, a little twist, a little twist. I actually did most of the rest of these with a cutoff wheel on the Dremel, but it's the middle of the night and I can't be making that kind of noise. So we're just doing this the old-fashioned way. Kind of push that in, so let's push that back out. And we're going to take our other end. And I'm just going to loop that around the back, because that's all I need. I just want that out of the way so that the GPU can get as much unrestricted airflow as possible. Because if you look at these GPUs, they got ventilation all across the back, and those bars are blocking half of it. And since this is a blower card, it doesn't exactly have the best airflow to start with. So let's maximize the airflow for this test bench. Okay, and what the crap? Why? The crap. Video cards aren't seating. Let's open. It's like the whole motherboard is bending behind it. Let's put the top one in. See if we have any trouble up there. Okay, top one went in without any issue. Without too much of an issue. That's actually an issue right there. I want to revise that. So let's pop this back out. Alright. I'm not liking this right here, so let's pull that back a bit, and I'm going to bend this whole thing back because something's making this other card not seat all the way into the computer. Most people aren't going to come across this because most people haven't done this cutting. Most of the time, your GPU will just come in and it'll just, bam, just like that, just fall right into place. And then we take, in our case, since this thing is going to be laying flat like this, we don't need a whole lot of support, but we do need one just to lock it in place. And so we set one screw in right there, nice and tight, and that gets that locked in. And then we come in with the second video card. There we go. You hear that click? It's in there now. Okay. And so we take the second screw. And something I really should have done before I put this one in, but I'm not going to take this one out because I think I can still get in there with my fingers, is I've actually got this fan right here, and there's a fan header right back down and behind here. And because this case has enough flex from being cut open, I was able to plug that in. And so we're going to set that right there. Eventually I'm going to actually rig that up. I'm going to get some zip ties and zip tie that right there so it's force feeding air right into them. And next up is actually the power supply. If you look at your power supply, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 screw points. If you look where the power supply mounts, you'll see that same spacing on the screws. And in the case of this one, it'll go right up in there. And I'm just going to set these cables over here and run around the corner to where I left the screws for that actual guy, so I can grab those screws. Alright, and same basic concept as screwing the motherboard down by getting one of them lined up and getting that one started. And once you get that one started, then getting the opposite corner is actually the best in the case of a power supply, because you got a bit of a rotation to the power supply. So getting the opposite corner will pull the entire power supply into position. And then the remaining 2 screws should be nice and super easy to get to. Alright, and then we just tighten down all 4 of these screws. This is going to be a permanent test bench for a while, so I can go ahead and tighten all this stuff down. Something else that I already covered in the previous video was this motherboard actually came with a really nifty front panel adapter, which lets you plug all of your your power switch and your LED, and there's your power switch there and your LED indicators. I ripped all this stuff off of an old case, and so all I've got to do is look down in the bottom here, and this is like before. We've got this whole pin thing, little slot. Let's move that out of the way so that I can get to my light in here. And that guy just plugged right on down. So that actually made that, sorry, bumped the camera again. So now I got my power switch and my activity indicators. Okay, and so we'll set the fan back in place there. That's everything plugged into the bottom side. Once you get your power supply plugged in, this is a fully modular unit, so I'm able to customize it to exactly the cables that I need. Oops, excuse me. And this is the CPU power. Plugs in. Let's get that lined up there. Well, that plugs in right up there. We'll just tuck that out of the way. This is your big 24 pin. It's actually a 20+4, because way back in the day you used to have 20 pin headers, so to maintain that they keep that as a separate detachable point. And that just clicks right in place there. Try not to block the airflow if you can. This is a SATA power header here. That's this guy, and if you look closely, so your camera is over on that. If you look closely, right there is actually, see if I can get, yeah. It's the first time using a YouTube app for a live stream, so apparently I can't get it to focus, but if you look here, there's a little notch. So this cable only plugs in one way, so you literally can't screw that up. Same thing goes with its counterpart, which is the SATA data cable, can only go in one way. You plug that in, your hard drive or SSD is now connected. I'm using this because I was able to salvage it out of another computer, and parts are too expensive to buy right now, really. So let's keep things cheap and reuse as much as we can. Then this is what they call a 6+2 connector, and this is what goes in your GPU. This also has another 6+2 piggybacked off of it. So for our purposes, that'll be just fine. You can sometimes get slightly better overclocks by running two dedicated 8 pins or 8 and 6 pin from your power supply back to your video card. So we got the one of them there, and then we got the other one here. And then we plug in that last cable there, and then the last part of the build, SLI bridge. And this one might take these screws a little bit loose so you can get a little bit of wiggle room, because these guys need a very specific spacing between the two video cards for this to seat, so you need just a little bit of wiggle room on them to get them to line up and seat down. And once that's seated down, you're good to retighten these back down. And this is now a fully functional computer, sans cables and the monitor, which are all set up and a little bit off stream. And but we can go ahead and take the power cable and get the power cable and plug in. If you ever plug in and then you hit the power button and nothing happens, remember, power supplies usually, especially in this caliber, have an on-off switch on themselves. And as you can see, now that I hit that on switch, the entire RGB of the motherboard has lit up back there. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in my keyboard and mouse to the uppermost USB ports on the back. I'm going to take and plug in my network cable, which is run right over here. Take the box out of the way now that I've got everything set up. We take our monitor, which I guess you guys can't quite see. So let's adjust the camera angle. We've got our monitor right there. And from the monitor, we got our HDMI cable that goes into the HDMI port on the top video card. And then we take our power cord for our monitor and we bring it around and we plug it in there. And then the moment of truth to see whether I broke anything, transferring it all to this case. Computer power is on. I got a fan right here I can see blowing. The power supply fan is a 0 RPM fan below a certain power draw, so it did a little spin when the computer first booted. And then we sign in. And we get our mouse. Let's get we're gonna fire up EVGA Precision X and confirm that it sees both video cards, making sure everything is fully functional. Yep, we got both video cards and my undervolt profiles are still in place. So we're going to go ahead and fire up that undervolt. And we're going to try these guys again and see if they work. Alright, so computer's up and going. I'm going to end the live stream there. And this should be saved as a video as I understand it. So hopefully I didn't just waste half an hour. And I'll see you guys later with another video at some point.